Lily Matthews clutched her backpack tightly as she navigated the crowded hallway of Oak Ridge High School. At 16, she was the top student in her class, brilliant, articulate, and admired by teachers. Yet behind her confident smile lay a burden that grew heavier with each passing day. Lily. We're having a sleepover this weekend for Emma's birthday. You have to come. Vanessa caught up to her, holding out a glittery invitation. Lily's heart sank. She forced a smile. That sounds amazing, but I've got this huge family thing. I'm really sorry. Vanessa's enthusiasm dimmed. You always have something. It's been like this since middle school. She hesitated. People are starting to talk, you know. They think you're too good for us. That's not true at all, Lily protested, but Vanessa had already turned away with a shrug. Alone in the bathroom stall, Lily changed her protective underwear for the second time that day. Her overactive bladder had been diagnosed when she was 7. The daytime urgency was manageable with medication and frequent bathroom breaks, but the nighttime bedwetting persisted despite every treatment her parents had tried. At lunch, she sat with her usual group but felt the invisible wall between them. Fragments of whispered conversations reached her ears. Thinks she's better than everyone else. Never comes to anything outside of school. Probably just stuck up because she's smart. When the bell rang, Lily hurried to her next class, keeping her head down. In chemistry, her lab partner Daniel smiled. Hey, did you finish the assignment? Of course she did, another boy called out. Little Miss Perfect always does everything right. Lily flinched at the mockery in his tone but said nothing. By the time she got home, she was exhausted from maintaining her facade. How was school, sweetheart? Her mother asked, setting down a plate of cookies. Fine. Lily dropped her backpack. Mrs. Peterson said I should apply for the Westfield Academy scholarship. The entrance exam is next month. Her father looked up from his newspaper. Westfield? That's a boarding school, isn't it? Yes, but it has the best science program in the state. I could get a full scholarship if I score high enough. Her parents exchanged a look that Lily knew all too well, concern mixed with resignation. Lily, honey, her mother said gently, you know that might not be possible with your condition. I know, Lily whispered, but I've been researching. There are new treatments I could try, and maybe. We've tried everything, her father interrupted. What happens when your roommate discovers you wet the bed? Kids can be cruel. Tears welled in Lily's eyes. So I'm just supposed to give up on my dreams? Stay home forever? That night, after changing her sheets yet again, Lily stared at the ceiling. She thought of all the birthday parties missed, the field trips declined, the friendships that withered from her constant excuses. The loneliness was a physical ache in her chest. Her phone buzzed with a group text from classmates planning the spring dance committee. She started to type her usual excuse, then stopped. For a moment, she imagined a different life, one where she could participate without fear, where her condition didn't control her every decision. With sudden determination, Lily sat up and opened her laptop. If Westfield Academy was her dream, she would find a way. She began researching the latest treatments and management techniques for nocturnal enuresis, creating a plan. Maybe she couldn't change her condition overnight, but she refused to let it define her future. As dawn broke, Lily finally closed her laptop. For the first time in years, possibility glimmered on her horizon like the first rays of sun. 3 months later, Lily stared at the acceptance letter from Westfield Academy, her hands trembling. Not only had she been accepted, but she'd also earned the prestigious Huxley Science Scholarship, covering all tuition and boarding costs. I'm so proud of you, her mother whispered, hugging her tightly. But the anxiety in her eyes spoke volumes. We need to talk to the school administration, her father said, his voice measured. Maybe they can make special arrangements. Lily shook her head. No, Dad. I don't want special treatment. I've been talking to Dr. Foster, and we've adjusted my medication. Plus, I've got these new absorbent underwear that's practically undetectable. She pulled out a package from her drawer. I can handle this. Her parents exchanged doubtful glances, but something in Lily's determined expression made them nod reluctantly. Moving day arrived too quickly. Lily packed her special mattress protector at the bottom of her luggage, along with a 3-month supply of protective underwear hidden in unmarked boxes. Her roommate, Natalie Park, was already arranging her side of the room when Lily arrived. You must be Lily. Natalie beamed, extending her hand. I looked you up when I got my assignment. You're the Huxley Scholar, right? That's amazing. Lily smiled, instantly warming to Natalie's friendly demeanor. The first week passed in a whirlwind of orientation activities, placement tests, and settling into a routine. Lily was careful with her fluids after dinner and set an alarm to wake up at 2 a.m. to use the bathroom. But on the 9th night, exhausted from an intensive lab session, Lily slept through her alarm. She awoke to dampness and the horrifying realization that her protection had leaked onto the sheets. Heart pounding, she carefully gathered her bedding, planning to rush to the laundry room before Natalie woke up. But as she turned around, she found Natalie sitting up in bed, watching her with wide eyes. Lily? What's wrong? Natalie's gaze fell to the bundled sheets in Lily's arms, then to the wet spot on her pajamas. It's nothing, Lily stammered, her face burning with shame. Just an accident. Understanding dawned on Natalie's face. Oh, she said softly. Then, to Lily's surprise, she hopped out of bed. Let me help you get those to the laundry. Speechless, Lily could only nod. But the next morning in the dining hall, Lily noticed Natalie whispering to a group of girls, their eyes darting in her direction. By afternoon, the whispers had spread throughout the freshman class. Walking into physics, she heard someone hiss "diaper girl" as she passed. That evening, Lily returned to find her mattress stripped and her remaining protective underwear strewn across the floor. Someone had written "baby" across her pillow in lipstick. Natalie was nowhere to be seen. Fighting tears, Lily gathered her humiliated dignity and cleaned up the mess. When Natalie finally returned, she avoided Lily's eyes. I'm sorry, Natalie mumbled. I only told Becca, but she told everyone else. I didn't mean for this to happen. Lily said nothing. That night, she lay awake, listening to Natalie's breathing across the room, feeling more alone than ever. The next week was brutal. Her notebooks disappeared. Someone left baby powder on her desk. In the cafeteria, girls moved away when she tried to sit down. The whispers followed her everywhere. Did you hear? She wets the bed like a toddler. How did someone like that get the Huxley Scholarship? I heard her parents paid the school to take her. Lily called home, trying to sound normal, but her mother sensed something was wrong. Are you okay, sweetheart? Is it your condition? Everything's fine, Mom, Lily lied, her voice breaking. The classes are just challenging. After hanging up, she opened her laptop and began typing an email to the administration, requesting withdrawal from the academy. With each word, her dream crumbled. But the alternative, facing months of this humiliation, seemed impossible. As she hovered over the send button, a knock came at her door. Hastily wiping her tears, Lily opened it to find her physics teacher, Mrs. Whitman, standing in the hallway. Lily, Mrs. Whitman said gently, may I come in? I believe we need to talk. Mrs. Whitman's intervention changed everything. After their talk, the teacher had arranged for Lily to move to a single room, a rare accommodation at Westfield, but one made possible by citing medical necessity without revealing specifics. The administration had also addressed the bullying with surprising seriousness, calling an assembly about respecting medical privacy. The whispers hadn't stopped entirely, but they diminished to occasional glances and murmurs. Lily kept to herself, excelling in her classes while avoiding social situations. Her roommate problem was solved, but the isolation remained. 2 weeks after moving rooms, Lily was working late in the chemistry lab when she heard the door open. She looked up to see Ethan Powell, a quiet boy from her advanced physics class. "Sorry," he said, seeing her startled expression. "I didn't realize anyone would be here this late." "Just finishing a titration experiment," Lily explained, turning back to her work. Instead of leaving, Ethan set his backpack down at the station beside hers. "Mind if I work here too? I need to make up the lab I missed yesterday." Lily shrugged, trying to appear indifferent despite her racing heart. Ethan was well-liked but not part of the popular crowd. He was tall with thoughtful brown eyes and a reputation for brilliance in science competitions. They worked in comfortable silence until Ethan said, "I heard what happened with Natalie and her friends. That was really messed up." Lily's hands froze over her beaker. "I don't want to talk about it." "Fair enough," Ethan nodded. "But for what it's worth, I think you handled it with impressive dignity. Most people would have left." "I almost did," Lily admitted quietly. "I'm glad you didn't." He glanced at her notes. "Your method for this experiment is innovative. I never thought of approaching it that way." The conversation shifted to chemistry, then to the upcoming science fair. For the first time in weeks, Lily found herself relaxing, even smiling occasionally at Ethan's dry humor. The next day, Lily entered the cafeteria and hesitated at the sight of the crowded tables. As she considered retreating to eat in her room, Ethan waved from a table where he sat with 2 other students. "Saved you a seat," he called, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. Heads turned as Lily made her way over. She recognized Thomas from robotics club and Rebecca from her calculus class. "We were just discussing the theoretical physics lecture," Ethan explained as she sat down. "Thomas thinks Professor Harrington's multi-universe theory has flaws." The conversation flowed naturally, with no awkward pauses or pitying looks. For the first time since the incident, Lily felt normal, just another student discussing intellectual ideas. After lunch, as they walked to class, Ethan said quietly, "My little sister had the same condition until she was 14. Lily nearly stumbled. "What?" "Nocturnal enuresis. That's what you have, right? My sister Emma had it too. It was rough on her, especially when cousins found out during a family reunion." His voice was matter-of-fact, without a trace of judgment. "How did she handle it?" Lily asked, her voice barely audible. "Pretty much like you are, with courage. She's 17 now and outgrew it last year." He smiled. "Just so you know, there's nothing wrong with you. It's a medical condition, not a character flaw." Tears pricked Lily's eyes, but she blinked them back. "Thanks for telling me that." Over the following weeks, Lily found herself gradually included in Ethan's small circle of friends. They studied together, ate meals together, and even went into town on weekends. None of them ever mentioned her condition. One evening, working late in the library, Ethan gently touched her hand. "The winter formal is next weekend. Would you like to go with me?" Lily's heart soared, then plummeted. "I don't do dances or overnight events." "I know. We could just go for a few hours and be back before 9. No pressure, just." He smiled shyly. "I'd really like to dance with you." Looking into his kind eyes, Lily felt something shift inside her, a crack in the wall she'd built around herself. "Yes," she said softly. "I'd like that." The night of the dance, wearing a simple blue dress her mother had rushed to send, Lily stood before the mirror in her single room. For once, she didn't see the girl with the shameful secret, she saw someone strong, someone worthy of happiness. When Ethan knocked on her door, his expression of admiration was worth every moment of pain she'd endured. "You look beautiful," he said, offering her a corsage of white roses. As promised, they left the dance early. Walking back across the moonlit campus, Ethan took her hand. When he kissed her cheek at her door, Lily felt a happiness she'd almost forgotten was possible. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For seeing me, the real me. Not just my condition." Ethan smiled. "That's easy. Your condition is the least interesting thing about you, Lily Matthews." Spring semester brought warmer days and a newfound confidence for Lily. Her relationship with Ethan had blossomed into something precious and sustaining, but more importantly, she had begun to see herself differently, as someone defined by her abilities rather than her limitations. One afternoon, during a mandatory health seminar, the school nurse discussed various medical conditions affecting teenagers. When she briefly mentioned enuresis as a common but rarely discussed issue, Lily felt a familiar rush of shame, until she noticed 3 other students shifting uncomfortably in their seats, eyes downcast. The realization struck her: she wasn't alone. Even at prestigious Westfield, others struggled with similar conditions, suffering in silent isolation just as she had. That evening, she spoke to Mrs. Whitman about an idea that had been forming in her mind. The teacher listened intently, then smiled. "That's exactly what this school needs, Lily. I'll help however I can." With Mrs. Whitman's endorsement, Lily approached the administration about starting a support group for students with chronic medical conditions. To her surprise, the headmaster not only approved but offered the use of a private conference room for meetings. The first meeting drew only 5 students, Lily, Ethan, there for moral support, and 3 others with conditions ranging from diabetes to Crohn's disease. They sat awkwardly until Lily took a deep breath and spoke. "I have nocturnal enuresis," she said clearly. "Most people call it bedwetting. I've had it since childhood, and I've spent years hiding it, making excuses to avoid overnight events, and feeling ashamed." Her voice grew stronger. "But I'm not ashamed anymore. It's a medical condition, not a moral failing." One by one, the others shared their stories. By the meeting's end, something had shifted in the room, a sense of connection and relief that none of them had to pretend anymore. Word spread. The second meeting drew 12 students. The third, 20. What began as a support group evolved into an advocacy organization that Lily named Beyond Limitations. They created resources for students with chronic conditions and organized an educational symposium for the entire school. Natalie approached Lily after the symposium, her expression contrite. "What I did to you was inexcusable," she said. "I've been wanting to apologize for months but didn't know how." Lily studied her former roommate. "Why did you do it?" "Insecurity, mostly," Natalie admitted. "You were so smart, so perfect in every way. Finding out you had this condition made me feel, I don't know, powerful. It was cruel and stupid." "Yes, it was," Lily agreed. "But I'm not holding grudges anymore. That takes too much energy." As final exams approached, Lily received an email from the Huxley Foundation, requesting a meeting. With trepidation, she entered the headmaster's office to find Mrs. Whitman and Mr. Huxley himself, a distinguished elderly gentleman whose family had funded the scholarship. "Miss Matthews," Mr. Huxley began, "your academic performance has been exemplary, as expected. But what truly impressed us was your initiative with Beyond Limitations." Mrs. Whitman smiled. "We'd like you to expand the program next year, with funding and official recognition. And," Mr. Huxley added, "we want to create a new scholarship, focusing on students with chronic medical conditions who demonstrate exceptional academic potential. We'd like to name it after you." Tears pricked Lily's eyes. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Mrs. Whitman encouraged. "You've already changed lives here, including your own." That night, Lily called her parents to share the news. For the first time, she told them everything: the bullying, the support group, and now the scholarship that would bear her name. "I'm so proud of you," her mother said, voice thick with emotion. "You've turned your greatest challenge into your greatest strength." Later, Lily and Ethan walked by the lake, hand in hand under the stars. "Did you ever imagine, when you first came here, that this is where you'd end up?" he asked. Lily shook her head. "I was just trying to survive each day without being humiliated. I never dreamed I could actually make a difference." "You've done more than make a difference," Ethan said, squeezing her hand. "You've created a legacy." As they reached the boathouse, Lily stopped and looked back at the campus lights reflecting on the water. The journey had been painful, but necessary. She had arrived at Westfield hiding in shame and would leave standing tall, her condition neither a secret to hide nor a burden to bear, but simply one part of her complex, beautiful self. "The best part," Lily said softly, "is knowing that next year, some student will arrive here with the same fears I had, but they'll find a community waiting for them instead of judgment." Ethan smiled. "That's the thing about facing our deepest fears, sometimes we don't just save ourselves. We create a path for others to follow." As they walked back toward campus, Lily felt a sense of completion. Her condition hadn't magically disappeared, but its power over her had. In finding the courage to embrace her whole self, flaws and all, she had discovered a strength that would carry her far beyond Westfield's ivy-covered walls, into a future limited only by the heights of her own dreams.